Hi, I'm Simon K. Jones, and you're watching my Scrivener for Beginners series. I use Scrivener every day, but I want to make one thing really clear at the start of this one. As long as it works for you, it doesn't matter what you use for your writing. Microsoft Word, a typewriter, pen and paper, sketching on a cave wall, it doesn't matter. And you don't have to use anything fancy as long as you're getting the words down. I'm a bit wary of people who get all tribal and evangelistic about specific products. So, with that aside, what is Scrivener? From one point of view, it's a very complicated word processor. I mean, look at the state of this thing. You could more charitably describe it as an incredibly powerful toolkit for long-form writers. I like to think of it as a writing aid that adapts to my needs at any given moment and enables me to work more easily on complex projects. Don't be put off by how complicated it can look, because that's not where you're going to start. Let me show you. Here we have a new project with a blank page ready to go. I can type into this as I would any other word processor. Up the top, you can see that there's all the usual styling and formatting tools exactly where you'd expect them. Sure, there's a few unfamiliar buttons and bits and bobs lurking around the edges, but the core experience of doing the writing is the same in Scrivener as it is in any other word-based program. So in that case, you might wonder what the point is. Why not just stick to Microsoft Word? And I'd say if you're writing quick letters, short essays, short stories, and so on, there's no real need for a tool like Scrivener. That's not what it's for. If at any point, though, you find yourself working on something more complex, or something longer, or a bit of both, that's when Scrivener might just make all the difference in the world. Let's take myself as an example. I've been writing an online science fiction serial called Tales from the Triverse for over 2 years now, writing and publishing a new chapter each week. It's a complicated story with a large cast of characters, lots of locations, multiple interweaving plots and subplots. There's a lot of detail to wrangle. And if I was doing it all in my head, or scattered across multiple documents or files or physical notebooks, I'd get in a right old tangle. And that would make for a very stressful writing experience. So I've shown you a new project with a typical blank page. Now I'm going to switch over to my ongoing serial project, which is at the other end of the scale. Ta-da! So this might seem a bit overwhelming at first glance, but let me show you around. Remember, this is my project, and the thing about looking at other people's projects is kind of intriguing. You might learn a thing or two about them, but ultimately, you shouldn't be there, and it feels wrong. But it's okay in this case, I'm giving you permission. So the binder is a way to navigate through the project. Note that everything you see in this list is stored within this single project for my Tales from the Triverse book. At a glance then, I've got my manuscript up the top. That's the actual chapters themselves. And then below I've got folders for characters, places, some notes, research, and so on. I don't use all of these to the same degree, but you can see that it's nicely organised. I can drill down into any of these folders to find more details. Here you can see the individual chapters of the book, and clicking one of these opens it up for editing. If I scroll down into research and rummage about and find the lore folder, you can see I've got a ton of world building information here. It's all there at my fingertips. Something I use a lot is the side-by-side view. This makes it easy to have two documents open at the same time in the same project. For example, I could have the chapter I'm currently writing open on the left, and a document about historic events open on the right for reference. If I click on a folder, it even displays all of the included documents on a pretend corkboard. This is like having lots of sticky notes up on the wall, useful for getting an overview of the shape of the story, maybe before you've written anything, or if you're doing a major structural edit on an existing manuscript. I can drag these things around and reposition them. It's really useful, and if you work in a kind of visual way, this lets you do that. Something to bear in mind is that the manuscript for Tales from the Triverse is currently at 223,000 words, and just the research notes here add up to 20,000 words. If that was scattered across multiple documents, notebooks, post-it notes, all over my house. If the story was kept in one giant Word file or across multiple Word files, it would be a nightmare trying to keep track of it all. Writing Triverse would be a nightmare. Instead, Scrivener makes it easy, or rather it helps take care of the practical and technical aspects of writing a large complicated project. That then frees up my brain to think more about the creative components, the story itself, the words, the characters. Scrivener has helped me be a better writer simply by getting a lot of the clutter work out of the way. I'm not even scratching the surface here, obviously, that's for later videos. I guess there's two key things to take away from the video today though. Number one, most of Scrivener's features are completely optional. You can basically ignore them until they're useful. That's why the learning curve isn't actually all that steep, because you can take it at your own pace. And number two, like I said at the top, Scrivener's benefits only really come into play when you're working on a longer project. I can confidently say that I would not be able to write Tales from the Triverse if I wasn't using Scrivener or something like Scrivener. Okay, thanks for watching. This was just a quick intro to the sort of conceptual side of Scrivener, and in future videos I'll be digging into specific features. You can find out more about my fiction, all created using Scrivener, of course, over at simonkjones.substack.com, along with all sorts of other video tutorials for writers. Do subscribe, as I'm going to be digging into Scrivener's features in more detail throughout 2024. Thanks again for watching.